Ah, what's up, guys? We're live. It's Tuesday or wait, Wednesday, October 20th. Sorry, I woke up a little late. Gonna be a quick show today. Um, let's see here. I know I was in here early. Did some grocery shopping. Glad you haven't started yet. Um, Brian Sanders just got home too. Not mad at the late start. 6-8 Spindrift, what's up? CEI, that's one we're going to be talking about this morning. I'm probably going to be talking kind of fast today because I actually got quite a few things I wanted to go over. But like I said, I woke up a little late today. Um, Josh Stewart, what's up? Good morning. Aiko, good morning. Prog's another one. Looks like volume might be dropping off just a little bit, but on Prog, but it's still looking pretty strong, I think. JSOB, Joseph Scott, Kimster, Big Nate, Holiday Option, what's up? Nice to see you. Big Nate says congrats on the extra sleep. Yeah, I actually went to bed like at a decent time last night too, which was I don't know. Just slept in. I think I just turned my alarm off and kept snoozing or whatever. Which is crazy because most days I don't even need my alarm. I just kind of pop out of bed at 4. All right. So let's look at some of this stuff here, see what's going on. Before I get to today's scanner, but I do want to make sure I get to everything. Actually, you know what? Let's go over today's scan first. That way, if anybody wants to jump in some of these plays, they can. I know yesterday there was a couple good ones that popped up on the ones we were watching. So, Invex dropped last night, started dropping in after hours yesterday. Came down from 161 down to 115. Anytime you get a big gap down, and this one fell, I think about 40%, and it's already starting to pop back a little bit. But again, I'm not saying it's going to fill all the way to the upside, but you see this big gap down, right? It's going to try to fill the gap a little bit, or sometimes it will. And you don't need it to go all the way up to get those nice gains, right? So NVAX is one. It looks like the news specifically on that one that had it kind of falling down was something related to, let me see, COVID-19 vaccine manufacturing problems. Okay, so I mean, obviously, I'm not saying jump in this; it's going to gap back up, but it's going to give you some opportunities for some good pops, some good chances to get in and out. We even saw some already earlier this morning from 128 up to 136. It crossed back under, but then we see it cross back over again from 119 up to 129. I mean, those are some good moves right there that you could jump in and out of, and the volume's looking good right now even. So whereas if you wanted to kind of try to day trade and pre-market, the opportunity's definitely there. A lot of times I don't usually, unless I'm seeing, decent volume that kind of, hold on, let me set this up so I can get the volume right now, just so we can see how much volume we're seeing already. Looks like it's got 3.6 million in volume already this morning. So that's should be enough volume to provide good liquidity to jump in and out of some trades, unlike, typical days in pre-market. So right now, NVAX's float is right around 74 million. So 3.6 million volume. It's not typical for pre-market there. So that's a good one. That's one I'll be checking out. The other three that came up on the scanner, we had RDUS. Okay, that one gapped up or popped up this morning from $15 yesterday up to 24. Float size on that is 46 million. As of right now, it's got 1.7 million in volume. News behind that one. Let's see what we got. Positive results for cancer treatment study. So it's already hit a high of 24.81, trading back down to 21.14. Seeing some volume in here already. If we look at the daily chart, it's typical volume for it, 300,000, 600,000. I'm just looking at the last couple of days, and we already have 1.1 million. So, and again, float size on that one is, where are we at? 16 million. So it's probably on pace to trade its float this morning. Should provide some, I'm sorry. I'm clicking on the wrong stuff already. RDUS. Float size, 46 million. So, still quite a bit of volume. Looking decent. That's another one. BBIG. Okay. That, we're looking at a daily chart right now. This is a squeeze play we've been looking at. Took a big hit last night in after hours. Came down and touched 563. If I recall correctly, max pain on this one is $7. It was trading above max pain, and that's why it was one that we had been watching previously, because kind of once it gets above that max pain threshold, it has the opportunity to really take off. But yesterday it got hit pretty hard in after hours. It looks like the CEO and CFO resigned. That's what had the big drop in the news. I think this one definitely will have some potential to kind of, be a wild mover this morning. Right now, volume's already at 5.2 million. This is an 87 million float. It's going to give some good day trade opportunities. In terms of it squeezing or doing anything crazy like that, I think this news might have killed it. Right now, it's trading under max pain, and I would be shocked if this opens up under 7. I don't really see it probably getting back above there as we move into, actually this has monthly expirations, right? Let me check. No, we got weeklies. So, we're looking at 264% IV for this week. And now they got it under this $7 mark. I think they're going to they'll probably be able to pin it there, start taking advantage of this IV. And I don't see this probably taking back off above 7. I could be wrong. I'll be keeping an eye on it. If it breaks 7, the option chain is actually pretty loaded up, kind of like we saw last week and in some previous weeks. Once it gets to this $8 mark, you start to see double digits, calls outweighing puts, really big at the $10 strike. But again, they got it down below 7 now. So I would say I'd probably stay away from this one as any sort of hold or anything like that. But, we've seen other ones break above it. So definitely should be some great day trading opportunities there. The last one that popped up on my scanner, and I'll just check to make sure nothing else came up. We have HX. HX closed yesterday at 951, popped up to 1349, back down to 1035 here, as you can see. Take a look at the daily chart on this one. It's been moving, over the last, God, what are we looking at here? Probably since mid-September. This thing's already been running up, so I don't know if this move today is really news specific. Let's take a look. They named a new CEO yesterday. But it seems like a lot of this movement has not been company specific, okay? Or like, any sort of news specific to the company, anything going on with it. I don't see this on any squeeze lists or anything. Let me check Ortex data on this one. It's not even popping up on my Ortex. Huh. Yeah, not sure what's going on there. But I think this one should provide some nice movement today too, with the 16 million float and already 1.1 million shares traded. You know, small float has some potential to move like we've been seeing here, but again, this is a day trade only. This thing is up huge since ripping off $1.50 range, $1.20 if we come back here. A lot of room to the downside. So those are the four stocks I'm going to be watching today. Specifically, sorry, let me get this back. The ones that I really probably going to be looking at is NVAX and RDUS though. BBIG's already kind of been on my watch list along with some of the other big plays, SDC, ATER, CEI, Prog, obviously. The other one that popped up yesterday on my screener, and I ended up jumping in just a small position, and I actually held it. I just grabbed some calls somewhere around here yesterday, around this $11 range is when it popped up. BlackBerry was on a watch list for me since going back before it started moving again in June, and it went off on one of my alerts yesterday, and I just jumped in with some calls. It looks like they did have some news. Let's see here. So yesterday, BlackBerry was granted a U.S. patent, and what else do we got here? Let me pull up the daily chart. Yeah, it's kind of been moving upwards too. It just broke above this, and I was looking at this chart yesterday. If we could see some momentum and get above like this 1202, like this 1179, kind of where it topped out yesterday, it's got a lot of room to the upside, at least, as we come up here and start seeing like this 1906. Don't know if it'll actually get that high, but this has been kind of the bigger resistance point. You could even see it back here too. So if we can kind of break above here, a lot of room to run. If this thing, continues to see volume, it looks like this morning. Let's see what the volume's at right now. We're already seeing 330,000 in volume, not big at all, especially for the float size. BlackBerry's got a float of like 500 million or something like that. So it doesn't really have the volume coming in this morning that it closed with yesterday. But we'll have to see how that goes. Let's see. Present Minds, what's up? Junior Wills, Michael, what's going on? Louie, Danny White, Michelle, Andy Smith, what's up? Hump Day, Shrimply, Thomas O'Connell. Ooh, not looking forward to 9:30. Calls on AMC, Prog, and BBIG. We're going to look at those right now. Prog's another one that I wanted to take a look at. I'll add AMC onto the list too, because I know that had some movement yesterday. And Prog is one that I ended up entering into yesterday as well. and held a little bit overnight. So BBIG and Prog are two that I held on to yesterday. Not BBIG, I'm sorry. Damn, I'm tired. BB. I held on to BB overnight and Prog. So I'll get to those in 1 second. Let me get caught up in the chat. That's what we're gonna take a look at is yesterday's plays. Danny White, I'm gonna star that real quick, but it says, Coach. Actually, let's look at it. What do you think about FCEL'stil running up after the big day? Zach Morris has been pumping it up, and Motley Fool set a price target of 26 yesterday. Impulsively bought $8 puts when it was up 28 or 20%. I mean, I don't know much about FCEL. We kind of talked about this yesterday, a little bit, just in the fact that, I mean, this isn't a play that I know about fundamentally or anything. I know it was getting pumped a lot. If it just came in with a 26 price target, that's obviously going to be a little bullish for the stock. It just ran up from 6. I could see it up to 850. If it moves like a normal stock, maybe consolidating back down just a little bit before continuing to rip up, if it's really in that reversal mode. It's been down here. It hit this, looks like it's low right here. Came up, hit a higher low. If this is starting to climb and it just got some price targets and everything, maybe a little bit of resistance there at this 1240. But other than that, again, without knowing much about the stock, if it's getting price targets of 26, it's probably going to start continuing to move upwards in the meantime. I mean, that's kind of like what we're waiting on with CLOV and some of these other ones is analysts to come out and release these higher price targets and, get investors looking. Because, I mean, you look at your average investor, right? No one's going to know everything about every stock, myself included. So when you see something trading at 850, with the $28 price target, I look at that like, shit, that's got room to grow at least 3 times what it's trading at right now. And that's going to probably invite in a lot of new investors to come jump in, especially if you start seeing a second or a third analyst coming in and saying the same thing. So definitely keep an eye on it. I know we looked at this one yesterday, and what do we see? 353 million float. So it's not like it's something that's gonna just pop like crazy, like some of these 46 million floats, 87 million floats, like something down there. It still has the potential to, though. I mean, we've seen AMC move like crazy in one day. I don't know if it's going to have that sort of retail interest. Option chain right now on FCEL. Let me pull this up. I know a lot of the big AMC moves were also kind of options induced too. It looks like it's already at that point where like the 750 strike and the $8 strike are deep in the money. If it can cross 850 and 9, you might have a little bit of push there. In order to see the option chain start taking over, and I'm not saying gamma squeeze or anything like that, but anytime you get above that kind of max pain level and you have more calls in the money than puts, on multiple strikes and start getting them buried into the chain, that's when, as we get closer to expiration at the end of the week, you're going to start to see a little bit even more upward movement as calls start getting hedged, or the following week, depending on how many people exercise their contracts, the following Monday or Tuesday, you'll see even a little bit of extra buying, which will help give the stock a little bit of upwards movement. Not too much going on here, but if all of a sudden this thing pushes to 9, I could see it potentially getting a little bit more of a boost. And the reason that I'm not too excited about these numbers is just really the size of the float, right? You're looking at a 300 million float. BlackBerry's option chain is kind of the same way. You know, I saw some people talking about a gamma squeeze there yesterday. Again, I don't really see it with the float size of BlackBerries. You know, these numbers aren't impressive at all. But again, it is past like that max pain threshold where now all of a sudden there are, you know, calls outweighing puts, and if the stock can continue to move upwards, it should help. Sly Dev says late to the party. So was I. I woke up late today. Zeke for Bleak, what's going on? DraftKings, it's kind of been trading sideways a little bit unless something happened this morning, but which is good. I mean, it's just give people more opportunity to get in sub 50. But I know we were talking about it in the Discord the other day. Like when I entered into that play, and yeah, I'm liking DraftKings where it's at right now. Mel C says, I think that was bad press reported by Benzinga on BBIG last night. It was planned and known about reshuffling of management. They did push back, tied dividend a bit though. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying like BBIG's a dead play or anything like that. But it's back below max pain now, right? It's got weekly options expirations, which means in 2 days, you know, we're going to be hitting another expiration date on Friday. And now that the stock is below $7, I would imagine that they'll kind of pin it there, which brings me to some of the other trades. Let's get to some of those real quick. Paul Jones, what's up? Thomas says if anyone wants to join the Discord, that would be awesome. Yeah, we have quite a few members in there. There's like 100 members. I try to go in there whenever I can while I'm at work and throw in when I'm getting into a play or something like that. But it hasn't been quite as active as I had intended when I started it. It's a free Discord. You could the link should be down below in this chat. Unless it doesn't work, I'll update it and throw a new one in there. If it doesn't, someone let me know. But it's free. I mean, you know, and it's just an opportunity to kind of talk with people, share what trades you're getting into, or usually whenever I'm entering into a new trade or I see something, I'll throw it on there. I've just been more quiet during the day because I've been at work recently. But like SDC, okay, this is one that started running up yesterday. Popped up on my you know, I've got this one on my watch list to kind of keep an eye on because it's one of those squeeze plays. Like I've been saying, all these plays, BBIG, ATER, SDC, keep them on your watch list. Set alerts on them so when they start moving, maybe you could jump in and be part of this action. I didn't see this move. Okay, I got alerted, I think, somewhere around, or no, it was. I started catching on right around here. And immediately I went and looked at Max Payne. Max Payne was $6. I think that I put that one on the Discord like, hey, I'm looking for SDC to cross 6. If it does, I think this thing can really get some legs. And so I was keeping an eye on it, watching it, and it crossed over here. I wasn't looking to day trade it because again, I was kind of thinking that it was going to get suppressed down. And then when it popped through 6, right around here, I actually missed the play. I wasn't near the computer. Came back and saw it pull back. And so I ended up just watching and not actually playing. But, you know, it did break through max pain yesterday, but now it's opening up right below it again today. So another one I'll be keeping an eye on. I think if it can break above 6 today, it might really catch some legs behind it. You know, and so real quick, I'm just going to go over some of the other plays that I did play yesterday. So AVIR came up on the scanner yesterday, and this is why I'm going to really be watching NVAX this morning. I talked about this yesterday. NVIR was trading at, Here, I'll just put it on a 5-day minute. So it was trading way up here at 40, gap down to 930 on bad news. Okay, so just because a stock has bad news, if you're an inexperienced investor, be like, oh yeah, let's short the shit out of it, and try to come in and short this down here. But most stocks try to fill that gap up. And I talked about yesterday, it dropped 75%, right? If you would have bought here, I didn't, but let's say you bought somewhere in here at $10, that was a 66% move. I mean, it dropped 75% from 40, but if you bought at 10, you could have got in on a 66% move as it moved from $10 to $16.60. Okay. Now what I did was I jumped in. I think it was right around here while we were on the stream. I just grabbed some shares, not a ton. And just kind of like letting it ride out. And then once I jumped off the stream, I added on as it popped up here. And then, or no, it couldn't have been. It must have been on this pullback. I added on here with more of a larger position, and I threw a trailing stop on. I didn't catch that big of a move. I think I got like a 20% move. I got stopped out while I was driving. So again, it was kind of a smaller position, but it looked like it was starting to move up. I wasn't actively trading it. I didn't really have the time. I was, getting ready for work, getting the kids ready, but I jumped in, threw a trailing stop on, and was able to get a smaller move out of it. But this thing, 60% to the upside, and then if you imagine what could have happened if it would have went all the way back up to 40, you're looking at, from this $10 mark, a 400% move, right? So it's always harder to get your gains back. But a lot easier if you're buying in down here, right? You lost 70% if you were holding this stock the night before at $40. And you could have, but if you came in at 930, a lot easier to get your 70% back. So that's what, these downwards gappers, these ones that move down violently like this, even if they pop back a little bit, they provide some really nice moves in there. Anyways, so some of the other ones that I got. So AVIR was one. KAVL, I did not trade, but I know that was one of the bigger ones that came up on the scanner, and some other people got a huge chunk of. I mean, from 183 ran up to 248, from 215 up to 257. We had another crossover from 233, popped up to 269, and then again 250 to 275. So really some nice movement in there. That was one, again, that I wasn't really playing. Prog had a huge day early on. Came up and hit 355 in the morning. Started selling off. Bottomed out at 276. But this was one that was on my list, and as it played this little pop right here from 291 up to 297, nothing much. I got stopped out. Then I decided to play it a little bit looser. It crossed over at 288 and kept running, and I think I sold off here. And then on the next run up is where I bought and just said, you know what, once I kind of saw it bounce off this, I bought and held. So my position right now with Prog, I think, is about 280. And we're at 285 right now. So I was holding overnight, hoping that maybe we'd end up seeing this thing pop up big time. And I still think Prog's got some legs behind it. Max Payne on that one. I'm sorry, I got two more I was going to pull up. Let me see. And then we'll pull up Ortex on a couple of those. CEI is still moving. CEI scares me because of the small float. This isn't one that I've been holding or anything. I did day trade it a couple weeks back. I haven't done anything with it recently. It's been one I've been watching. I did see this big run up, but it's also hard for me to play multiple stocks during the day now too. But this one's moving. Closed yesterday at 169, up to 188 right now. Float size on CEI is what, 247 million. Okay. It's already seeing 13 million in volume this morning. And yeah, so I mean, there's definitely going to be some opportunities. Looks like ATER is starting to move a little bit right now. Just saw a big green candle. But I want to pull up Ortex data on some of this stuff. So for right now, let me see. Get these up. I got CLOV PROG's one I'm going to be watching this morning, as well as BlackBerry. And then the two that I'm going to be trying to watch to trade today is NVAX and RDUS. So Ortex, let's just see how some of these have changed or if they have at all. Start off with Prog. I think that one's the most intriguing this morning. Again, let's see, 65% short interest, 70% of the free floats on loan. Cost to borrow came in this morning at 77. The average is 145 already. Utilization's dropped. That was at 99 yesterday. It's at 95 now. Okay. But it still has those high numbers, and that's where we want to be. And max pain on that one was $1.50 yesterday. Looks like it moved up to $2. Okay. That just means that the option chain, if we come in and take a look at this, and this only has monthly options, which makes it even more intriguing because you're going to see more concentration in here. But if we look at the option chain now, it moved up to $2, probably based on the amount of premiums paid, because really, if you look through this entire chain, it's not until down here at the 50 cents is where, puts outweigh, where calls start outweighing puts. But it has more to do with premium too, the max pain number, right? And now that IV's getting higher, it depends where all the money that's in there is paid as well, like how much premium they could rake in. But in terms of what's going to move the stock, in terms of gamma squeeze potential, we have calls outweighing puts all the way down to the $1 strike. $3 is going to be a huge one. If it can get past that, and it looks like they added in another strike, which we talked about yesterday morning. They're usually, it likes to see, the option chain likes to see, basically double, right? So if the stock closes at, where Prog closed at yesterday, $3. I was assuming they were going to maybe extend this out to 6, but usually, they'll like to go out further. So if a stock closes the day at 10, you'll see the option chain extended at least out to like 20, somewhere around there. And as this thing continues to move up, I think it's just going to provide more and more opportunity, because you're going to see this option chain. Let's say it closes tomorrow at 350. You'll see the option chain extend to 7. Options buyers will come in and keep loading it up, and it's just going to provide more fuel for this thing to keep growing. And while this one, 200%, isn't ridiculously expensive. That's expensive. I mean, usually I'm not a call buyer, way up here at 200%, but I mean, we've seen open interest on these squeeze plays jump as high as 300%. Sometimes when things really get moving, like on an AMC or something, I've seen them get up in the 400 or 500% range. I saw GameStop, I want to say, if my memory serves correctly, back in January, where the IV was at like 800%. So, again, I'm not a call buyer at that point. Usually I'll be a call seller. or a put seller and taking advantage of those high premiums. But when it gets up that high, but I guess my point is, people will come in and buy those calls still, and that's what's going to be needed to like fuel the momentum for it to keep moving. Michael says, anyone find it interesting that the SEC report that came out states that GME and AMC were not gamma short squeezed? Yeah. I don't agree with that at all. I don't know if they're saying that to kind of deflect retail attention, like keep one thing that I've noticed just as a trader and someone who's been doing this for a while is this year you're seeing way more options activity than ever. More retail traders are coming in and buying up options contracts, and I think that's been changing the game in regards to, it used to be that options were heavily priced and moved based on the underlying stock. In other words, if the underlying stock, if CEI or CLOV or whatever it is goes up $5, then okay, you can expect the options contracts to move up too. Obviously, IV's always been a thing and everything else, but what I've been seeing more so now is that the underlying stock is moving based on the options chain. Really, more so this year in 2021, since all these squeeze plays and retail hype and everything else. And the funny thing is, I don't think a lot of it's retail that's buying up thousands of contracts that's moving these stocks, but it's almost become to the point where, you get whales that come in or retail, loading up in masses or whatever, loading up this option chain. The stock's going to move based on the options that are bought because of delta hedging. Okay. So I don't know that whole thing. The other thing though too is like a gamma squeeze, for instance. I had never even heard of that before before January. I had seen instances where a stock would move based on the chain, but I never really knew that it had a name for it, and I still don't know that gamma squeeze is the official name for it. That's something that I just started hearing, probably in like maybe December, around that time, which is still going back to last year, but probably back then. But yeah, I don't know that report. Who knows what's going to come of it? I'm not getting my hopes up, and I'm usually a pretty optimistic person, but I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm just looking at your guys' comments. I think what happened back with GameStop way back in January was more options related than anything. And then those options, let's just zoom in here. Let's ignore the beginning of it, right? But if you come back here, let me just zoom out just a little bit. We'll get all the way. That was because this started. Okay, I can't even get back that far unless I readjust my settings. But even when this thing was trading at 3, it was down here at 10. And this is when it really started getting more of the hype, probably on Wall Street bets. And we saw this thing kind of start to move up, again, closer to the options expiration, and then continue to move up to 19 or 20. A lot of this was all options induced. Okay. And then it fell back down. Option chain got loaded up again. We saw it squeeze up. A lot of these moves were all like gamma squeezes back then. And then, kind of settle back down. And then right here, I remember this day, looking at the options chain and people, posting about it and how there was going to be this huge crazy squeeze in GameStop. Everything was loaded up, all this kind of stuff. And it's exactly what we saw. The chain, I think that day went up to $40, and we saw it blow from 20 up to 40. But I think the biggest difference, and if you look, it's almost like how how CLOV did that day when it came up and hit right above the chain, and then the next day popped up a little bit more. The only difference is it didn't get shorted back down. I think that having a little bit of short interest or a high short interest that was above 100% helped that, because people couldn't short it back down at that point. You had some people covering, which ended up having it kind of level out. And then we came up in the next weekly option chain. And I want to say this was on a Friday, because I remember this. I had given up. I bought some, not given up, but I bought some kind of FTDs that expired that day. And then all of a sudden, my buddy hits me up and he's like, dude, GameStop's moving again. And sure enough, the chain got extended from 40 up to 80. And guess what? The next gamma squeeze brought it right up to the top of the chain at $80. And that was the second one. So we saw a gamma squeeze take us from 20 to 40. And then we saw, a week later, a gamma squeeze take us from 40 to 80. And then they extended the chain again. The chain got loaded up again from 80 to 160. And sure enough, look, popped right up to the top of this 160 on the chain. And I think at that point, they just extended the chain out to like 800 or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. No, actually, I think it might have went to 3. I don't know. It's been so long. But these big moves were just, and there was so much retail hype, and then other people too. I mean, shit, Shamath came in and bought a bunch of options. And I mean, IV was through the roof at the time too. But yeah, I mean, you could just see in the way that it was moving. It was like from $20, the chain extended through 20, it blew it out and got to 20. Chain extended, then they opened up the chain at 40 the next day, and within the next 3 or so days, it blew that chain out to 40. Within the next 5 days or so, it blew that one out to 80, and they just kept extending it. It kept getting loaded up. But we haven't seen like action like that in a while either, because at the time GameStop was the only squeeze play. That's where all the retail focus was. That's where everybody was kind of focusing their attention. I'm gonna take CEI off here because this isn't a play that I'm in, or that I'm looking to be in. So there's CLOV. I'm gonna go ahead and put RDUS up here. See what's going on with that one. Looks like BlackBerry's popping. Let me see where again, I woke up late today. I'm a little behind. See where some of my plays are doing this morning. All right, so BlackBerry's looking nice right off the bat. There's our prog, RDUS. Paul Jones says, any thoughts on CEI? Yeah, I mean, I kind of spoke on it. I think CEI, and I'll pull up Ortex data on it right now. Nice big candle right there on CLOV. I mean, I definitely think it's got the short interest and everything like that. And shit, I don't even know if Atlas is still pumping it or not. But if they are, we could probably see some more movement. I just, that was one that Atlas was coming in and really, pumping up. And that's when you get those guys and that many people behind a stock and that much retail, kind of like we just talked about GameStop, you're going to see some movement in the stock, obviously. And then I think you had a lot of people that came in and bought the top thinking it was going to go to 5. And so now you have a lot of people are thinking it was going to go to 10. And now you got a lot of people holding it. And so retail interest remains, shit. Who knows? The other thing with it is it's so cheap, right? Kind of like a prog. CEI's got a very cheap entry point. So when you have people kind of just entering, wanting to get into the next squeeze play, they look for a lot of inexperienced investors will look for the cheaper play. So maybe jump into a prog as opposed to a CLOV or a CEI instead of an ATER, just based on price, thinking that, well, I can get 10 of these for the same price of one of those. When in actuality, it doesn't really, there's so many other factors that go into it. And really, when you're trading, you should be looking at percentage gains. I know I'm kind of looking at the bigger picture here and not talking specifically about CEI, but in terms of CEI, I mean, it does have, you know, actually, shit, it doesn't really have anything. Short interest is down. Cost to borrow isn't high. Utilization 88. I mean, I don't know. It seems like a lot of hype, but hype can still move a stock. We've seen that. It's up 11% right now, gapped up. It shot up huge yesterday. Um, I mean, AMC is a perfect example. AMC didn't start out as a squeeze play. And, I think that it had a lot of people that jumped into it for the same reasons I just mentioned, because it was cheaper than GameStop. And it was more of a reopening play. And then, but it had so many people jump into it and it exploded when everybody started flooding Wall Street bets. I'm talking about back in January. And then it became a heavily shorted stock because, short sellers look for overvalued stocks that are trading way, above valuation. And then they hammered the thing down. And now I think it became one of the most manipulated stocks in the market, like a GameStop. But originally it was not a squeeze play. So CEI, I think, could potentially, CEI's numbers were a lot different before the float became bigger. I mean, now all of a sudden the float on this thing is, I could be wrong too. If I'm wrong, please correct me. I've been looking at so many tickers and shit. But from what I recall, I don't recall CEI's float being that damn big. But we just looked it up. It says 247 million. I want to say that thing was way smaller than that a while back. Noir says Prague is getting cheap. Yeah, 270 right now. It's pissing me off. It just fell below my entry point. I got in around 282, I think, yesterday, 280 something. So, but I think of all the plays, Prague kind of has everything going for it. It's above max pain. It's looking the best right now, in terms of a squeeze, and that's why, even though I've been saying with a lot of these, my plan has been, not to buy and hold and just to, kind of stick and move and jump in and day trade. But I haven't been able to really keep an eye on too many stocks right now. So for me, I was looking at Prague yesterday and kind of the price action it's been seeing. And I mean, really, this is kind of typical for what we've been seeing with Prague too, right? If you look, it pops up, it kind of comes back down, pop up, come back down. We saw that again. It popped up, it's coming back down. And then it's going to be looking for the next big pop. So this isn't shocking. This is the way this thing's been stair stepping. It comes up, it consolidates, it goes up, it shoots up again. So, you know, let's see here. Right. Sorry, just checking out some of my own plays here. RDUS looks like it's moving a little bit this morning. Are we seeing shorts slowly covering with CLOV? It appears so. I mean, I think I haven't looked this morning, but the last time I looked, we saw, I think there used to be 9 institutions that were only short only, I believe. And then as of this morning or 2 days ago when I looked, it showed only 7 institutions short only. We're starting to see, some of these positions that were short only have converted over to long. So yeah, I think so. I think they've been doing it. I think they're doing it through options plays as well. Taking advantage of the high premiums back probably when we like popped up to 11. What was that, about a month or two ago? And I just think they're that was about a month ago, huh? That was like early September. But yeah, I think so. I think they're slowly starting to. I mean, shit, why wouldn't you? The stock hit the, we've been talking about this, but it's been nothing but good news in this stock for ever, it seems like. And um with the 3.5 stars and everything else, it's really starting to seem like, I mean, how much more are you trying to squeeze out of this stock? It's, it's got way more room to the upside. Like, how low can you make it go? Even if you were going to try to get it to its all time low of, what was it, like $6.30 or something like that, there's still not that much room to push it down. So I think they've just been playing a game to where they could short it down, cover, and then when they cover back, maybe cover a little bit more than they shorted it down. And then the next day, short it down, cover back, but cover a little bit more, short it down, and just slowly doing this for a long period of time. And then, like I said, along with options, you start, using the options game to get some of those shares back too. And so, the good news is that means as shorts start converting over and going long with this thing, um, we could, potentially see less resistance as it starts moving forward. There won't be anyone standing in its way when the stock tries to rip up and get to where it should be trading at. Um, yeah, Paul, sorry, I'm tired this morning too. I know I didn't really tell you much about CEI. I think, there's definitely, in terms of that, when you have that much retail interest, there's going to be opportunities for that thing to take off. And it doesn't really have any of the short interest or anything that you'd want to be looking for, um, in a play like that. I'll look at the options chain for you too. The only thing I could say is, just remember the rug pull that happened a while back. I think it was a couple weeks ago when the thing was running and stuff, and just protect yourself with a stop limit if it's 1 year, or a stop loss or something like that. If it's something that you're going to be holding long term, and then remember that those things won't trigger in after hours. Um, but even just looking at the CEI option chain, I don't see like a ton of open interest in there, um, relative to the float size, you know. So yeah, I don't know. Unless I'm wrong in what I'm seeing here, that the float's 240 million. Because I always thought the float was like tiny. And then right now my Schwab is showing the float at like 240, which is kind of shocking to me. I don't remember it being that high. Let's see. Yeah, I see Thomas O'Connell's talking about that. I'm gonna pull that up real quick. BBIG, looks like BBIG is starting to rip this morning. So just remember, I know I brought it up already. Max pain is 7. Okay, so if it can get above max pain, I know it is right now, but if it could like start really ripping past max pain, then I would say BBIG's back in play. If all of a sudden, this ends up being the high of the day and they start, manipulating this thing back downwards, um, it wouldn't surprise me if this, really started, to stay pinned there at least for the rest of the week. CLOV's getting some nice price action right now too. No news, nothing going on. Volume on CLOV right now still hasn't even hit a million. We're at 869,000, so ridiculously low volume on CLOV right now. Fluffer, what's up? Good morning. Um, Bud says AMC's popping this morning. Let's see. Yeah. I mean, it's moving up. It's not up 8%. It's up 0.83. GameStop and AMC have been moving like ridiculously together, and they're not right now. I guess the candles look the same, but GameStop down about a 0.5%. AMC up 1%. But yeah, it's moving. It's crazy how this stuff works. Some of these stocks all kind of rip together. And damn, I haven't heard from him in a while. Uh so DeGen just says Bitcoin's at all time highs. I don't know if he's talking about this morning or just in general, but just to check in on some of our miners. Hut's up 5% again. ANY's up 1%. I know Gree's another one up 2.8. So yeah. Let me see. Let me throw this back up, dog. Trying to see what's going on here with the BB. So yeah, CLOV looking nice right now. Just hit 1 million in volume. It's finally starting to pour in. So who knows? Maybe we'll have a nice day today. Thomas says I'll go bananas if CLOV breaks 820. Dennis D, good morning. A West says we got $8. They let it run up so they could reshort it. I guess the confirmation that they're not doing this would be the utilization. Yeah, kind of. So like here, I'll pull up Ortex data right now, but utilization I don't think updates live, right? I mean that's something that you would see on a daily basis, but let's pull up CLOV. I mean, CLOV's float has changed tremendously too since last June, but right now, shares on loan has started the day at roughly 52 million, and it looks like borrowed change is negative 11,000. So there's been some returned. So really, if you're just looking at how many are being returned versus how many are borrowed, and you kind of track that throughout the day, utilization though too. If shares aren't being used, utilization numbers will continue to drop, and that'll show you that they're covering as well. But yeah, I agree with you. I think I don't think they're necessarily letting it run up. I don't know how many retail buyers there are coming in here and buying these anymore. I think most people have bought and held. You might have people accumulating here and there. I know I have occasionally, but I really think what's happening is, like I was saying earlier, they cover their shares and then short it down a little less. Cover some shares, short it down a little less, but with less volume, when you're shorting in, you're kind of, you're able to drive the price a little lower, but also those buys make the price go higher when you don't have volume, when volume dries up. So that's just like my speculation, my theory on it. Is kind of the game that they've been playing, during this kind of time frame where we've been seeing the stock just trading sideways. And I think a lot of these shorts are probably just flipping and going long. Or beef jerky and gummy bears for breakfast. It's a breakfast of champions. Oh man. Dave, what's up? Yep, Dave said the same thing. Low volume in CLOV means the shorts are leaving. Yeah. Did you like the ape statue? Yeah, I saw that on Twitter. That was amazing. That was hella funny. Um, Someone put a big gold ape statue. I don't know if that thing's staying there or what. At first, when I saw it, I thought it was a joke, like photoshopped or something. But apparently, it really is out there. That'd be awesome if they made it like a permanent thing, or maybe it is. I don't know. But if you guys haven't seen it, it was floating around on Twitter. I saw it posted in the Super Stonk subreddit a couple times. But yeah, it's been floating around for, I think yesterday is when I started seeing it. But yeah. Oh shit, I just saw the time too. It's I gotta get going. I gotta go help my kids get ready for school. I didn't even notice. It's past 6:45. Um Sam, I'll look at that real quick before I sign off. Sam says take a look at the November 19th call options. Higher open interest than we're used to seeing. Well, the other thing too, November 19th. I mean, if you go back and watch some of my streams from 3 months ago and ever, November was a date that was continuously, it'd be like, oh, we saw call sweeps today for November. We saw this for November. So, yeah, if we come in and look, at the 9, at the 10, even at the 11, it's starting to build up in there. So, should be some extra firepower if all of a sudden this stock really takes off and gets past these numbers, and then those will start to help push us up even higher. All right, but let me see. Yeah, I got to get going. Got to get the kids ready. I hate to, usually, I remember back in the day, the joke used to be that every time I signed off, CLOV would go green. Now it's going green while I'm signing off. All right, I'll see you guys later. Hopefully, tomorrow morning, 1, I'll wake up. We'll start the show on time, and 2, we'll be celebrating a nice big green day with CLOV. But like I've said in the past, I'm not even going to get excited till we start hitting past 9, past 10. Upwards in the double digits. That's when I'll really be getting excited about this. But thank you guys for joining. I really appreciate it. Sorry about sleeping in today. See you bright and early tomorrow.